Hey guys, welcome back to the BNB podcast. We are at episode number 13. Today we are again going to start with Show Your Work, and this time around with chapter number 3 and 4. We want to keep on doing this in a more structured manner. We have covered so far is chapter number 1 and 2 of Show Your Work, and today we are going to start with chapter number 3. So, without much ramble, should we just dive in?
Yeah.
All right. So here's how it is going to go. We have two chapters, chapter number 3 and 4, and inside each chapter we have topics. So what me and Neil we have done is that we've gone through these topics, these chapters ourselves, and there are things, bits and pieces that we resonate with, topics or points that are actually passing our hearts and so on point. So we have them marked for us, and we'll be reading those out and just having a quick discussion around our thoughts. So this is something we're doing for the first time as well, as in first time as in for chapter number 3 and 4.
Yeah.
So this is raw. We'll try to keep it raw but a bit structured. We'll introduce a topic, we'll introduce what is a big idea of that topic,
Right.
and things that we like about that particular topic. So every time if someone wants to skip a certain topic, it should be okay.
Yeah.
And that's how we want to make sure that this becomes the most juiciest stack of micro stories or micro chapters, I guess,
Yeah.
from different books that we love. And yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah.
Starting with chapter number 3, you want to take the lead?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, sure, cool.
So, chapter number 3 is share something small every day, which is a reminder to ourselves as well. Like,
Yeah.
we really have to nail this bit a lot.
Yeah.
We've been doing it for a while, but it is little stagnant right now. Maybe at least from my end.
Same here, yeah,
I'll
yeah.
probably drop some more
Yeah.
of the bits
Yeah.
every day, probably.
And that's how the blocks are actually. You always think that you're going to start, and you are going to keep on the momentum for always, so the same amount of excitement and
Yeah.
enthusiasm for doing some shit, and sometimes it's just fuck it,
Yeah.
man, I don't want to
Yeah.
do it. But
Yeah, exactly.
yet the story is that you have to keep on going on, and you have to share something small every
Show
day.
your work.
Yeah, you have to keep on showing your work.
Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, so the chapter is, share something small every day, and within that we have a first topic which says send out a daily dispatch, and the big idea around this particular topic is focus on days, which is something very interesting, and I'll just read it out. Building a substantial body of work takes a long time, a lifetime really, but thankfully you don't need that time all in a big chunk. So forget about decades, forget about years, and forget about months. Focus on days. And the writer has put it so well, like this makes us think
Yeah.
that instead of focusing on longer term goal all the time, of course it's required for you to strategize and all of that, to align yourself sometimes. But in that process we tend to skip the daily dispatch
Yeah.
that we are supposed to do, and that's what it says, like you really have to send out a daily dispatch, and that means showing your work on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the whole idea.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go on. The day is the only unit of time that I can really get my head around. Seasons change, weeks are completely human made, but day has a rhythm. The sun goes up, the sun goes down. I can handle that.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much, sums up what
Yeah.
we also think that way. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that the contrary thought is to you have to plan long term. You need to know a lot of shit that you want to do, but I guess a lot of high level thinking kind of keeps you there always. And like, as we talk about this more often, like most of it is execution.
Yeah.
Like, it's easy to keep on having high level ideas, of course, if you're in the mind frame.
Yeah.
The worst, not worst, the most work you'll need is to put yourself in that mind frame. Once you're in that mind frame, I think that ideas come easily.
Yeah.
And what happens is that you start flying based on that, but the real juice is in the execution. Right?
Absolutely.
And if you tend to focus on years and weeks and months, I guess you every duration is kind of an opportunity away from execution, I guess.
Right.
The bigger the frame of time, the longer it will take for you to get started, I'm assuming.
Right.
If you plan a month, you have so much on your list, because you'll start breaking it into smaller tasks, or to dos, or whatever the fuck it is called, and this will hold you down.
Right. Absolutely.
Rather, if you think day, you just have a good start, maybe a messy middle, and then a good end.
Yeah.
And that's easy, I
Right.
guess. That's doable.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And even in the further chapters, we will see that uh, it says about 90% of your efforts are anyway going to
Yeah.
not
It's
very
usually a piece of
yeah,
crap. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
I remembered something from rework,
Mm.
which is pretty interesting and that goes along with this, but I forgot again. So
It was
maybe
about the 6 week thing, I guess. It was they.
probably,
Yeah.
so that was around this thing only, like uh, when you're executing something, that's when you actually figure out how to do, or the most information you
Yeah.
have is when you
When you
start to
execute.
execute.
Yeah. Yeah.
Before that, so what are you planning about?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's just guesswork.
exactly.
Yeah.
So remind me of that, and that this really
Yeah.
resonates.
Yeah. We should keep doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So that was the first idea,
Mm.
that day is the unit
Mm.
and not months or years or decades.
Yeah.
And then there's a great representation of one day, and how consistently putting one day out for a month looks like, and
Yeah.
for a year look like.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like
This is how it
crazy
looks.
amount of, yeah.
Yeah.
It's same, like consistently putting your work out, or consistently working out as well.
Mm.
So to build a muscle, so that
Yeah.
applies to your fitness or health related things as well.
Mm.
So it's just same thing, like
Yep.
putting in the effort every day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Second thing I wanted to share was uh, is on page number 52.
Mm.
A lot of social media is just about typing into boxes. What you type into the box often depends on the prompt. Facebook asks you to indulge yourself with questions like how are you feeling or what's on your mind. Is hardly better. What's happening? I like the tagline at dribble.com though. What are you working on? Stick to that question and you'll be good. Don't show your lunch, show your latte, show your work. Also, you don't have to, show fancy stuff that you are surrounded
Mm.
with. You just have to show your work.
Yeah.
So that's the idea.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that?
No, no. I'll wait for the right moment.
Oh,
Yeah,
great.
but as of right now, what he's written is so well
Yeah,
put
absolutely.
that I guess we can simply read it out.
One takeaway is just ask yourself these questions every day. What are you working on?
Yeah,
And just have a paragraph written for that and just post it on. Like
yeah,
that's it.
yeah, yeah. And this is the most important thing when he says stick to that question and you'll be good. The
Yeah,
prompt.
yeah,
Like
absolutely.
every social media is eventually prompting you
Yeah,
in a way, and if you just stick to that question, I guess you should be fine. And we take this for granted, like
yeah,
we go
yeah.
there, we
Never
open
really-
it, never really paid attention to the placeholder text, if you just focus on the bloody question,
Yeah,
you just have a daily dispatch.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be more difficult than that.
yeah,
But yeah,
That's a
you
great-
need to read a book to be able to brought back to the reality
Yeah.
of things that is like a lot of us are blinded to, maybe. Yeah.
makes sense.
Cool.
All right. So
Yes.
page number 54.
Mm.
Don't say you don't have enough time. We are all busy, but we all get 24 hours a day. People often ask me, how do you find the time for all of this? And I answer, I look for it. That's bloody right. You find time the same place you find spare change, in the nooks and crannies. You find it in the cracks between the big stuff. Your commute, your lunch break, the few hours after your kids go to bed. If you're married and have kids, yeah,
Yeah,
of course.
yeah, yeah.
You might have to miss an episode of your favorite TV show. You might have to miss an hour of your sleep, but you can find the time if you look for it. I like to work while the world is sleeping and share while the world is at work.
Man,
This is crazy.
This is crazy.
Last two lines are
Yeah,
like,
Yeah.
you get it, right? Yeah.
this is deep. Yeah, one day at a time. That's
Yeah,
it.
one day
That's
at a
it.
time.
Okay, Cool. So
I
that was
think,
topic one.
yeah,
Okay.
you can take the second one.
Yeah. Yeah. The second topic of chapter number 3 is called the so what test.
Test.
Yeah. So, what is the big idea? That there's a big difference between sharing and oversharing. Like that's the big idea, right?
Yeah.
And page number 57, things that I really like from this chapter. One of those things is that the definition of what sharing actually means.
Right.
The act of sharing is one of generosity. You're putting something out there because you think it might be helpful or entertaining to someone on the other side of the screen, right? The most important thing is that always be sure, like, to run things, like run everything you share with others through the so what test.
Right.
Ask yourself, is this helpful? Is this entertaining? Is this something I'd be comfortable with my boss or my mother seeing? There's nothing wrong with saving things for later.
Right.
The save as rough button is like a prophylactic. It might not feel as good in the moment, but you'll be glad you used it in the morning. So, is this the simple thing that describes sharing? Like, there's a difference between sharing and oversharing, and it's really important to understand the nuts and bolts of things, right? You have to make sure that what you're sharing, you should be yourself comfortable with first
Yeah,
off,
absolutely.
and you should be okay of letting it go, but then also putting it to the test. Like, if you created something, ask yourself, so what? Right?
Yeah.
Like, ask yourself that once you're about to, you say, hey, you know what, I came up with the best set of resources for entrepreneurship, for example. You put yourself, ask yourself that question, so what?
Would anybody benefit?
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then ask yourself everything else around it, and you should be okay, and you'll know that most of it is by gut.
Right.
You have to just simply know that this is good.
Absolutely.
If not, just scrap it. So yeah.
Another thing, there's a nuance to it as well. Like, perfectionists in us also
Yeah.
sort of comes into picture when you're asking so what,
Yeah.
and that should not always bother you to put your
Yeah.
stuff out there.
Yeah.
So that's just a note that probably people should care about that
Yeah,
as well.
yeah. I
Uh,
think, yeah, like, it doesn't matter about how it looks as
Right.
of right now. Like, the content, the essence of it is important. Like,
Absolutely.
this video might not be the most aesthetic one,
Yeah.
but man, we're fucking saving people from reading the book. So
Absolutely,
yeah,
yeah.
it should be juicy enough.
Yeah.
If not, we're still enjoying it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So this is for us first.
Yeah, yeah. We were anyways going to do it.
Yeah. It's just on the camera. No?
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So I'm done with that topic.
Great.
You want to take the next one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just that one of the craziest
Yeah.
graphic that we have for
Yeah.
this is what to show.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
says no dogs, no cats, no babies, no selfies, no sunsets, no lunches, no lattes. Of course, sometimes it's okay, but show your work.
Yeah.
That's what it
That's
says.
it. Yeah. Damn.
Oh,
Crazy.
this is like crazy.
This one
and I
is the
think
most craziest
This is
one, yeah.
probably we both can take
Yeah.
a part of it because
Yeah.
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 So the next topic is turn your flow into stock. And the big idea over here is if you work on something a little bit every day, you end up with something that is massive,
Yeah.
and which is like everything, like consistency. People have seen all of that or heard about this a lot, like every day you put in certain amount of work, and that becomes your habit, and eventually it
Compounds,
gives
yeah.
you
It's a
compounding
book.
effect. Yeah,
The compound effect. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what it says.
Mm.
There are two concepts over here,
Mm.
and I'll describe as it is in the book. It says, page number 62, stock and flow is an economic concept that writer Robin Sloan has adapted into metaphor for media. Flow is the feed, it is the posts and the tweets. It is the stream of daily and sub-daily updates that remind people you exist.
Mm.
Stock is the durable stuff. It's the content you produce that's as interesting in 2 months or 2 years as it is today. It's what people discover via search. It's what spreads slowly but surely, building fans over time. Wow. Swan says that the magic formula is to maintain your flow while working on your stock in the background.
Man,
Crazy.
this is so fucking deep. This is
Right.
so deep. And while I was marking it, I still have it written. Damn.
And these are the moments.
These are the moments. Yeah.
Sometimes when you're reading
Yeah.
late in the night or something, people are sleeping around you, and you're like, "Oh damn!"
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you can actually say
You want to shout it out loud. Yeah.
yeah,
But yeah, like if you just focus on it, what the difference between stock and flow, right? Flow is the daily feed,
yeah,
everything that's injected into algorithm on a daily basis,
Yeah.
every day.
smaller
Can be
things,
random,
smaller
things.
chunks.
Yeah. And stock, on the contrary, is are the pieces
Right.
that might not perform today, might be not so popular, and that's what it says. It's the content you produce that's as interesting in 2 months or 2 years as it is today. It's what people discover via search.
Absolutely.
It's what spreads slowly, right? That's the fucking context we're living as well. It is so slow, but the day it is about to blow, we won't know it. And then of course then the whole thing comes back, that overnight sensation is a myth. Yeah.
So
But
small bits and pieces, when you're putting it out, you'll find a pattern, and then it becomes a
your
piece.
stock.
And
Yeah.
I think the writer has described it so awesomely.
Mm.
Like once you make sharing part of your daily routine, you'll notice themes and trends emerging in what you share. This
Yeah.
is what I was talking about.
Yeah.
And you'll find patterns in your flow. When you detect these patterns, you can start gathering these bits and pieces and turn them into something bigger and more substantial. You can turn your flow into stock. For example, a lot of the ideas in the book started out as tweets,
Damn.
which is then become blog posts, which then become book chapters. Small things over time can get big.
This is amazing. Yeah. And I was fucking blown by the fact that the whole book started as a series of tweets.
Exactly.
Those then became his blogs, and now it's a fucking book. I mean, it's see that's the beauty. You focus on every day without having to associate it with something that is long term. That I want to write a book, and you start hyping it today.
Right.
Even before you start, you can get fucking lost. But if you just commit yourself to sharing it every day, and then just do a retrospect, right? Look at us, like we are 12, 13 episodes down the lane. There are already some pieces that are resonating with us.
Absolutely.
This is happening for the second or the third time. So books are going to stay.
Yeah.
We know what a potential future content type would be.
Right.
This might not work, but we can always keep on doing this because we ourselves enjoy it.
Right.
So if that habit is built, man, I mean, amazing things can happen.
And these are wide different variety of things that can be put into a different buckets, I would say.
Yeah.
And those buckets are like separate books. That's what I'm trying to imagine. Like these are
Information
separate books.
architecture is there already.
Exactly.
There's some cool.
So I think that was the topic. You'll probably take the next one, and
Yeah.
probably you would love to do it that
Oh,
as well.
yeah. So the what's the topic called? It's called build a good name, but then in bracket it has build a good domain name, right? And the big idea is that carving out a space for yourself online, somewhere where you can express yourself and share your work, is still one of the best possible investments you can make with your time.
Amazing.
And I read this and I was like, fuck, something has to happen, because we were talking about me having to buy a domain. I already had the domain to make the website, and I was stalling it for a long time. And then when I read this particular bit, the most hard hitting thing from this topic is more than 10 years ago, I stacked my own little internet claim and bought the domain name austincleon.com. I was a complete amateur with no skills when I began building my website. It started off bare bones and ugly.
Right.
Eventually, I figured out how to install a blog, and that changed everything. A blog is the ideal machine for turning flow into stock. One little blog post is nothing on its own, but publish 1,000 blog posts over a decade, and it turns into your life's work.
Wow.
And I was like, holy shit.
Right.
I read this and I was like, fuck.
Right.
Today is the day it
And-
has to go.
And the next day I read this,
Yeah.
I bought my own domain. I haven't really get time to really figure out what should be in there.
Uh-huh.
But I actually got in and bought the domain.
Damn, yeah, yeah.
So that was necessary. Like,
And
that's what books does.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, yeah. It's like these are the type of conversations you would want to have with your social circle, but sometimes you are you're chasing something different. I wouldn't say that
Yeah.
it's
Right or wrong, but
yeah, it's right or wrong, but you're chasing things that are different, and currently you might not be in the right setup where you have like-minded people surrounded by you, and that's when these things help. Like,
Yeah.
it's so fucking good. Like, you get your validation that okay, today you think that because we are creatures of social validation and rejection, you can't take that away. It's like one of our foundational needs
Absolutely.
of existence.
Yeah.
And you want to you want to be liked, you want people to read your stuff, consume your shit, but that doesn't happen. And how do you keep going?
Right.
Right. And that's that. When you read such things, you
Right.
keep going.
Right.
And the next bit is your website doesn't have to look pretty, it just have to exist. Don't think of your website as a self promotion machine. Think of it as a self invention machine.
Crazy.
It's mostly you discovering yourself, right? Online, you can become the person you really want to be. Fill your website with your work and your ideas and the stuff you care about.
Amazing.
And I was like, fuck. And it doesn't end there. The more this topic, it's just it just starts with something that it allows you to break free of the bondages that okay, now you're open to have a website and have your stuff.
Right.
But then what to do with it?
Right.
It gets into the more depth of it, right? The beauty of owning your own turf is that you can do whatever you want to do with it. Your domain name is your domain. You don't have to make compromises. Build a good domain name, keep it clean, and eventually it will be its own currency.
Right.
Whether people show up or they don't, you're out there doing your thing, ready whenever they are.
Absolutely. It's a piece of real estate.
Yes,
That's what I can think
yeah,
of.
yeah, it is. It is. It's not hot today. It will be one day. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's what you do with your investments.
Right.
You sit on it. It's like
Yeah,
you're a
yeah.
fucking ham or a chicken sitting to warm your eggs.
Yeah.
That's what you have to do. Like, that's what your website is.
Yeah.
You have to warm it with the eggs you lay. Eggs are your post, and that's your stock.
Yeah.
You have to blog about things that you like. You have to share good stuff, things that excites you, and keep on doing it for as much as you can. And
Yeah.
it,
That's
yeah,
what
it will become a hot state, and that's when it's hot, people talk about it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
Damn. Okay, that's chapter number 3. It was a good short.
Yeah.
Do we want to move up? Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
chapter number 4.
One thing I'm pretty sure that it's a lot better to read it out at your own
yeah.
rather than you probably listen to something like this.
Yes.
And yeah, I mean we extend our own experiences and we share that.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, that's the thing, that you just don't consume this shit. Like, it's important to read it through, because then it's your own narrative. That narrative you can control, and that's the beauty of books. Like, it's a conversation between you and the author. Yes.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, chapter number 4. Again, you
Chapter
start.
number 4 is open up your cabinet of curiosities. That's great. And the first topic is don't be a hoarder.
Mm.
The big idea over here is the problem with hoarding is you end up living off your reserves. Eventually, you become stale. If you give away everything you have, you are left with nothing. This forces you to look, to be aware, to replenish. Somehow, the more you give away, the more comes back to you.
Amazing.
This is crazy. It's like,
yeah.
you're drinking water and, you consuming water and then there's no water anymore.
Yeah,
And you
yeah.
look for more.
Yeah.
So that's how I look
That's
at it.
yeah. That's how you should be looking at it, and
Yeah.
don't keep on hoarding. Like, if you keep on collecting, then you'll end up living on the reserve, right? You have
Absolutely.
50 liters of water,
Yeah.
but if you
So
have
what?
50, yes, if you are so what, you consume 50, now you're out of water, you go and get another 50. That's beauty. Okay, so what hits you hard from this one?
Okay, so that's on page number 76,
Mm.
which says All of us who do creative work, we get into it because we have a good taste. Says public radio personality era class, but there is a gap. There is this gap. For the first couple of years, you make stuff. It's just not that good. It's trying to be good. It has potential, but it is not. But your taste, the thing that got you into the game, is still killer.
Damn.
Before we are ready to take the leap of sharing our own work with the world, we can share our taste in the work of others.
Yeah.
Amazing. Where do you get your inspiration? What sort of things do you fill your head with? What do you read? Do you subscribe to anything? What sites do you visit on the internet? What music do you listen to? What movies do you see? Do you look at art? What do you collect? And so on and so forth. There are a lot of bunch of questions, and like
Yeah.
the core idea here is your influences are all worth sharing because they clue people into who you are and what you do, sometimes even more than your own work,
Yeah.
because like it says, you are
Only as good.
incrementally improving the work that you are doing,
Yeah.
but at the same time you are stealing from or
Yeah.
getting influences from the people who are already probably at that level where they know their craft, they know their game.
Yeah. And it
If you
was their
just
craft.
yeah,
It was their craft that inspired you to be in the game.
absolutely.
So starting May, it's going to be very natural that your work is going to be shit.
Yeah,
And because that's the beauty of being an amateur.
Yeah.
You keep on trying until you become good at it.
right.
So while you're becoming good at it, it's really important to make sure that you share your taste.
Yeah,
You keep on sharing things that excites you, things that you're people you're stealing from, things that are more artistic to you, more aesthetic to you, anything, your music,
right.
your whole fucking thing. Like you yourself are an cerebral asset in that terms. Like
Right.
like people share bits and pieces of you, like your personality is out there. So I guess there shouldn't be anything that should stop you from sharing what inspires you as well. and
Absolutely.
and that's what the quote says as well. You're only as good as your record
Your
collection.
record collection. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And while sharing others' work, I have something else to share as well, which is another topic in the same chapter,
Mm.
which says credit is always due.
Yeah.
And the big idea over here is if you share the work of others, it's your duty to make sure that the creators of that work get proper credit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is absolutely
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So, and there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
anyway, it's not you who produced it, so you should be mentioning
Yeah.
the credit
Exactly.
for that person. So I'll just read it out something from 85 number page. So what makes for a great attribution? Attribution is all about providing context for what you are sharing, what the work is, who made it, how they made it, when and where it was made, why you are sharing it, why people should care about it, and where people can see some more work like this. Attribution is about putting little museum labels next to the stuff you share. And this is like crazy line, like
Yeah. Yeah.
and I can actually visualize going into museum and reading that
Yeah.
those small stories around that particular artifact I'm
Yeah.
looking at, and this is how it should be like.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So that's I think about credit is always due.
Mm.
You want to take the next one?
Yeah. Yeah. Page number 78. Next one. It's called No Guilty Pleasures.
Oh yeah.
Right. The main idea is like it's just a quote by one of the top personalities as well.
Yeah.
And there are, I won't say who the quote is by because the whole book is filled with quotes, but it goes like this: I don't believe in guilty pleasures. If you fucking like something, like
Like it. Yeah.
like that's the whole point. And the key idea is like things that I love from this topic is dumpster diving. The concept of dumpster diving. Dumpster diving is one of the jobs of the artist. Finding the treasures in other people's trash, sifting through the debris of our culture, paying attention to the stuff that everyone else is ignoring, and taking inspiration from the stuff that people have tossed aside for whatever reasons. In my and in my opinion, like we all love things that other people think are garbage. Most of the times we come across such things, like someone likes a song, which you hate, and you like a song they hate, and
Yeah.
and you will toss it. And even people you get inspiration from, they have produced some work, they don't count significant enough. You have to
Right.
take inspiration from there, because it is that work that got someone there. So if
Absolutely.
that is one of the facade, like facet, sorry, of that individual's personality, I guess it would be worth stealing from there.
Yeah.
and and you should have the courage to keep loving your garbage, because what makes us unique is the diversity and breadth of our influences, the unique ways in which we mix up the parts of culture others have deemed high and the low.
Right.
I mean, that's very, like, these are the things that we ignore, because a lot of us have chose to ignore things that are not so sexy, but
Right.
juice is in the boring stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely.
no one is interested in showing their work because it's boring. To be able to do that, you have to invest some time, which is where you're more comfortable, I guess. And to be able to come out here and do something like this, it actually is, it drains you in ways which are more enjoyable, but it does fucking drain you and put you in a very uncomfortable box, that what am I doing
Right.
and why are we doing this? But you have to do that. You have to be able to uh, take inspiration from a lot of the thing that people are ignoring, because it wouldn't be as good enough today, but that would be one of the most important founding layers of your personality that
Absolutely.
people start getting intrigued about. So
Absolutely. And that stuff can be actually used somewhere else as
yeah,
well, right? So
yeah,
it doesn't need to be as is. You can add your own flavor to it. You can apply it wherever it is supposed to be applied. And then, miracles happen.
yeah,
That's how
yeah,
things work. So, yeah.
yeah. Crazy. That's 2 chapters.
Yeah.
Fuck, this was good.
Short and good.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's all from Show Your Work, and we'll keep continuing this. So we have 4 chapters down. We have 6 more to go, and like this, every time we're going to come up with something, because we'll be keeping we'll have to keep up. We'll have to read further to be able to come and do this.
Yeah.
And some bad shit, crazy things are going to happen. Okay, all right. So I guess we can wrap it up over here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
All right. So Neil, where can people find you online?
People can find me online on X, Product Hunt, and LinkedIn. And that's all that I do right now.
Yeah, you have a
Website
domain.
is still like work in progress.
Yeah,
So yeah, that's and you can also find me on Friday morning. One of the juiciest newsletter that comes out.
Yeah.
I'm reading that, so you can always find me there.
Yeah.
In the comment section there.
Yeah, yeah. It is the most enjoyable thing for me, honestly. Like,
And
I get
for us
I
as
feel-
well, like
yeah,
we actually enjoy reading it. So
yeah,
that's our part of the things.
yes.
What about you, Harshit?
Finally, it took me 12 episodes to say this in a more fucking proud manner. That you can find me online on theharshilpatel.com.
Amazing.
Everything about me is there.
Oh,
So it's one place, one stop Herschel, I guess. Maybe I don't know what to call it, but yeah, all things Herschel, I guess. That's what the LinkedIn says as well.
Right.
All things Herschel. So yeah, the harshilpatel.com. In general, I'm also on Instagram, LinkedIn, and all other social platforms. So yeah, but
Use the website too.
yeah, to go and find everywhere. So now
Explore.
I own the turf,
Yeah.
my turf on the internet. It's
Amazing.
sadly it's not harshilpatel.com. Someone has it. I
Not
guess
using it, right?
not using it, but the domain is way too fucking expensive. So yeah,
As of now.
as of right now. Yeah. All right. So that's a wrap, and stay blessed. Have a good one. See you next time.